According to the butterfly effect, a small choice can change humanity's fate. In other words, it's a cursed phenomenon, at least for me, because up until now, I've made quite a few regrettable decisions. Suddenly, loud banging on the door and a loud voice made him numb. Honey, are you listening to me? I am coming in because I know for sure you're in there. You better open the door. I already asked Ophelia, the dorm manager. She said you don't have any classes today. Is Dud going to ignore me to the end? He was now extremely annoyed by that piercing voice. She was no different from a stalker, and the person outside started to growl and a knife pierced through the wooden door. Fine, then I will barge in myself. He's freaking out, drenched in sweat, eyes wide. This crazy woman. Seeing the door being hacked to pieces, Dud frantically yells to stop her. This is against the rules. The student council president is the one who punishes rule breakers. More slashes appear on the door along with a terrifying threat. Too bad for you, because I am a student council president. The other person confidently walks in and says, you've been avoiding me lately, haven't you, to be exact, 32 times. Dud sits down on the ground in fear. You even counted. I have a question for you, Dud Campbell. Will you marry me? He looks at her in panic from the floor. Elnor, wait, what are you saying, Princess Tristan? Suddenly, another voice unexpectedly rings out, making Dud break out in a cold sweat as he turns to look. Sarah's perched provocatively on the windowsill, asking her if targeting a taken man was how her family operated. He recognized her and cautiously called out her name, Saris. Elmer glared at Saris. This place seems too bright for an assassin to hide. Wouldn't there be too many witnesses? Unafraid, she stuck out her tongue and winked, playfully. Kill all the witnesses. That is my motto, princess. Doug was even more anxious now. He leaned against the wall looking up and frantically protesting. Wait, I am really in a bind. I hadn't even thought about getting married. Another voluptuous figure with striking blue hair landed in the room from the roof. She and Sarah's both became more somber, while the protagonist just turned pale and called out, Lilu. Lilu shouted back, hey Dud. She grinned and suggested, come live with me. The more Lilu spoke, the more bewildered Dud's eyes became. The wedding preparations are almost complete. Now, all you have to do is come with me. Suddenly, Uriah appeared from behind, radiating murderous intent, wielding a chain. How rude. She calmly walked up to him. Sir Dud, what exactly do you do every day to be surrounded by so much trouble? As your fiancé, I can't ignore this. He cannot believe his eyes. Uriah. Following that shock was the magnificent sight of Fannel riding her broom surrounded by swirling flames. Can't you all just be quiet? You passed. Dud, his mind reeling. Hearing that arrogant statement, he couldn't contain his emotions. Fagnal. Elnor glanced coldly. It seems this has truly become a competition. Sarah's was no less assertive. You are all delusional. Lilu urged him urgently. What are you standing there for? Come with me. Uriah quickly offered him a solution. Sir Dud, I think you should reject them all. Fannel, very serious about competing, looked at him. If anyone objects to something that has already been decided, there's only one outcome. Ultimately, Dud was surrounded by 5 stubborn, overbearing women, turning him pale as a ghost. These women began to attack each other, ready for a decisive battle. Trapped in the middle, he wanted to scream. How long are you going to argue over such promise? Nonsense? Alright. The survival game that pushed me into this situation is called Savior Rising, a bright academy story for passionate young people. But the characters are familiar and stable. Like always, I beat the game and saw the ending. I found it quite interesting and felt pretty satisfied. But then the next day, I got sucked into this. Ta-da, does that even make sense? Hey, it's not like I cursed the game and got targeted by some divine programmer, right? I didn't even have feelings for the main character. Anyway, Eve transmigrated into Dud, a completely powerless guy. The son of an unknown viscount, a third-rate background character in this world. The Campbell territory mainly relies on agriculture, and there aren't any dungeons, which appear everywhere in the Empire. It's only mentioned briefly in SRS introduction, so the fact that a viscount's son was accepted into the Royal Academy is a world-shaking event. His father said, You're finally leaving, Dud. He cheerfully replied, Yes, father, I am off. Viscount Campbell wiped away his emotional tears and instructed, You are the pride of our territory. Take care of yourself, and don't cause any trouble. Alphonse is where the descendants of nobles from all over the empire gather. The best thing you, a viscount's son, can do is not attract attention. Understand? He obediently smiled and replied, Yes, I understand. The system displays his information. Status information, Dud. Strength, F. Agility, F. Stamina, F. Luck, F. Power, F. Skill information, no skills. Mastery information, no special talents. Special gift, none. He helplessly frowned, feeling it. Everything is F. Even a veteran gamer has never seen anyone with such terrible starting stats. The system displays a notification. Main quest, enroll, and be assigned to a class. According to the game system, If I skip the quest, I will get a game over. The Alfonte Academy, where I'm about to enroll, will soon fall into chaos because of the villain's rampage. I won't do anything that could endanger my life. He boldly encouraged his father. Don't worry, father. I will do my best not to attract anyone's attention. The powerless father hurriedly denied, that's not what I meant. But before he could finish, he interrupted. I didn't want to daydream about raising the territory's reputation under the clear blue sky. He resolved not to attract attention. He firmly said, I don't need you to get high scores either. Just stay within the average. Fourth Earl Campbell stammered, trying to stop him. That's not what I meant. Isn't the main character supposed to handle everything? I should be invisible in the academy. My school life begins. Dud's face suddenly darkened when he saw the person in front of him, but from the very beginning. Why? I am in the same carriage as her again. Elnor, the bloodthirsty. Elnor, the pile of corpses. Elnor La Tristan. She is the final boss of this world. In the scenarios, she and the protagonist are constantly at odds, and her sanity gradually collapses. The being dormant within her, the gray demon, will eventually devour Elnor's body, and then she becomes the final boss that no one but the protagonist who has completed her final evolution can defeat. Elnor is reading a book and softly asked him if he is alright, saying he does not look too good. Hearing this, he stammered and forced a smile, replying, No, I am fine. He thought to himself, Duke Tristan seems to value their image a lot. She said coldly, My sitting here instead of in first class is a deliberate decision to show that we, a high-ranking noble family, are also approachable. I apologize if it worried you. Everyone who shares a carriage with me has that expression, he thought in astonishment. She's different from what I remember. The keywords used to describe Elnor are competence, perfection, and boldness. But what's with this sensitive side of her? Her eyes slowly look up, her sparkling light pink eyes looking at him. She asks, Why not you answering? Are you curious about something else? I awkwardly scratched my head and stammered, No, it is nothing. You're just unexpectedly kind. Eleanor picked up her glass and softly asked, unexpectedly, Have you heard something bad about me? I rushed to deny it, but before I could say anything, she continued, raising her voice. Perhaps we haven't met before. I thought to myself, I am going crazy. Looking at her, I sighed and slowly replied, It's just that I heard you're quite strict. She replied, You're a strange one. The male lead's face darkened as he sheepishly admitted, Yes, well, I often hear that. I muttered to myself, I am just an extra. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. It's best to stay quiet and look outside. Now that I think about it, the scenery around here is truly magnificent, and those huge rocks are rolling towards us. Wait, what the heck? I suddenly widened my eyes looking at the rock flying towards me. I muttered, Student Council President. Eleanor hummed, confused. Doug quickly raised his hand and casually asked, Excuse me, may I ask? A huge rock moving incredibly fast, like a blazing fire, smashed into the window near him. Identify armor and create armor for the adult skeleton. Elnor always carries that with her. I can't survive with all F stats. His action surprised Elnor. Her eyes widened. In the haze, Elnor asked, Are you okay? He contentedly buried his face in her chest and softly replied, Yeah. She continued, Can you move? You are heavy. When he lifted his face, he startled and screamed, Ah. The main character awkwardly and shyly stammered, I am sorry. She casually replied, It is okay. You did it to save me. He was surprised, thinking what she lay there, turning her face away and explaining, This is the first time someone's approached me so directly, but thank you. I understand your intentions, so do not apologize. He awkwardly replied, Oh, but in his mind, he pondered, I only rushed to her to benefit from her armor. Elnor stood up and asked, What is your name? He was taken aback and asked, He looked at her wondering, I have a feeling I will run into her often if I answer. So how should I respond? If I tell her, what will she do? But then he said his name, Dud Campbell. Hearing his name, she instinctively repeated, Dud Campbell. Her eyes turned cold again as she said, All right, I won't forget. I will repay you later. As she finished speaking, the system notified him, You have attracted the attention of a villain. The conditions for receiving a special gift have been activated. You have received the skills Desperate Survival and Deadly Charm. Someone exclaimed in surprise, What? Looking at the burning vehicle crushed by a large rock, the person asked loudly, Did this train originate from Alfonte? Dud is being bandaged and treated for his wounds. He says, Thanks to the special security measures, there were not many casualties. He groans softly in pain. It hurts too much. The man treating him asks helplessly, Where did I touch? The wheels begin to roll. A man instructs, Those who have been checked can leave. Another quickly replies, Yes. The carriages quickly advance towards the city gate. The system announces special gift. Gift 1, Fatal Attraction. You will receive more rewards when attracting attention from those with evil traits. After reading the announcement, he says thoughtfully, No wonder I could not figure out the activation conditions, no matter what I did. In the Campbell territory, let alone evil traits. Even people with neutral personalities are as rare as gold. Of course, that gift could not be activated. Should I check more carefully? He sits in the ambulance carriage. The system continues to inform him desperate survival skill level ? When in danger, your stats will increase according to the level of danger. Deadly charm skill level ? When facing those with evil traits, you will more easily attract their attention. The more extreme the situation, the stronger the effect. He looks seriously at the system screen and analyzes. Desperate survival will definitely be useful in combat and help me survive, but deadly charm. Can I really have this? The system is reminding me again. It helps me attract attention from those with evil traits. I frowned, wondering evil traits. Who in the game has those? A berserker driven mad by battle. A sword saint with a deranged mind slashing anyone within 3 steps. A violent assassin who kills anyone as long as they are paid. A magical genius with a deeply twisted sense of morality. All troublesome people. But it probably does not matter right now. The most important thing is having skills that help me survive. But strangely, the skill level is marked with a question mark. Even though I am a veteran SR player, I have never seen this state before. What does it mean? See me stunned like that? The healer asked. Are you alright? Do you need me to check your mental state again? I firmly replied, no, I am really fine. The carriage continued on its way. Upon arriving, Doug Campbell sat on a chair and sighed. A man standing above spoke loudly and clearly. Although an unfortunate incident occurred, I still thank you all for arriving here safely. This year's freshmen are wonderful. He was lost in thought, recalling his conversation with the healer. The healer had asked him, hey freshman, I heard you rode in the same carriage as Lady Tristan. He coldly replied, so what? The healer mocked him, you are just the son of an unknown viscount with no connections whatsoever. At that moment, the healer closed his eyes and calmly said, I was also a student at Elfonte, from an unknown noble family. Doug was surprised to hear this. The healer continued, do you think it was just a coincidence that you rode with her out of so many other options? Duke Tristan has a lot of enemies. You better stay away from her from now on. Getting involved with those high-ranking nobles will only bring you trouble. Dud looked at Elnor and replied, I'll keep that in mind. Just then, the system showed a notification. Elnor Favorability Rating ID 2. Event for the initial stage of trust is about to happen. There's no way around this. I am already caught up in it, whether I like it or not. In this academy full of schemes, it's no surprise she's a candidate for the final boss. Just standing next to her could drag me into danger at any moment. While he was deep in thought, someone suddenly shouted his name. Doug Campbell, you bastard. A big burly guy rolled up a piece of paper into a tube and pointed it at him aggressively, saying, why are you just standing there? The guy next to him immediately chimed in with a mocking tone. Look at this country bumpkin. The guy with the paper reminded him, everyone's been paired up for practice matches, and you were the only one left. After the entrance ceremony, the practical combat test will begin immediately, he said, and your opponent has been automatically selected. Hearing this, he scratched his head in confusion and asked, excuse me, who is my opponent? At the same time, a sense of anxiety began to dawn on him. He thought to himself, if everyone has already been chosen, wouldn't the last one left be the strongest? Elia, standing above, looked down and greeted him. Hello. Have looked up and exclaimed in his heart in surprise. Elia, the greatest genius in the world, she asked him cheerfully. Do you need help? He looked at her, his body trembling, and stammered, I am fine. Well, no, he thought to himself, in the future, she will become the savior, and also the main character of Savior Rising. This girl is the main character of Savior Rising, Elias said, extending her hand to him from the stone platform. Dud's face darkened, his eyes welled up, and he thought to himself, I am done for. From inside the room, voices call out like they're taking attendance. The Count of Crichton has arrived, and the Marquis of Galantier as well. A girl is resting her chin in her hand deep in thought. What is wrong with her? The entrance duels are underway, but why is she late? She seems anxious. A boy asks, what about Lady Tristan? When will she arrive? Before he can finish, Eleanor walks in, her clothes still stained with blood. She walks to the table in the center of the room and slams her blood-soaked sword onto it. Amidst the scene, the girl sitting in the center of the hall as if used to this raises an eyebrow and questions. I have a lot of questions for you, but where have you been? With blood still on her face, Elnor replies softly, taking care of some things. Alfonte sighs softly and says, I am sorry, but I have other things to deal with first. Hearing this, she shows no surprise and replies decisively, understood. In the dark night, the full moon hangs high. They talk to each other. Hey, did anyone die? Not too many, only about 12. Elnor crossed her arms and began to recount. They tried to assassinate me. They dropped a boulder on the academy ship and tried to make it look like an accident. I found out who they were, and since I happened to be nearby, I killed them. Alfonte, after hearing this, reminded her, you should have left things like that for the students to handle. Elnor turned her head slightly and coldly replied, too troublesome. She glanced at her, her voice like eyes, and asked, or do you expect me to be perfect? only forgiving those who want to kill me? Hearing this, she could only helplessly change the subject. Alright, but at least go, change your clothes. The entrance duels are happening now. If you go now, you will see Elia, a rare genius. Elnor and Doug Campbell. What the hell? Elnor repeated his name. Doug Campbell. The girl with glasses looked at the file and replied, Yem, do you know him? He does not seem like anything special. Elnor began to recall the image of Dud sitting in the car. Then she unconsciously smiled and softly said, that guy is quite strange. On the other side, the crowd below was shouting provocatively, go you hick. Meanwhile, he was trembling on the arena floor, a sword in his hand. Some people were even enthusiastically gambling. Everyone's betting on how many moves he can last. Another person replied, bet if I took a hit from her, it'd be done for. Looking at Elia, Dud thought, my stats are terrible. If I get hit, I am dead. But looking at it another way, this could be my chance. This situation is so dangerous. I have nothing to lose. System notification, skill, desperate survival, rank unknown. When in danger, your stats will increase according to the level of peril. Dud looked down at the cheering crowd and speculated, the villains I have to face are definitely among them. If I don't die, at least I can attract their attention. With this information advantage and stat buff, I can survive. Seeing Dud standing still and unresponsive, Elliot called out, hey! He startled and blurted out, she gestured, shoo, tell me the truth. Hearing that, confusion darkened Dud's face. Elia looked at him and asked, you're really weak, aren't you? He was too surprised to speak. Dud stammered. That island. She moved closer, stating firmly, I guessed right, didn't I? I was going to beat you to a pulp, but in your condition. She trailed off, making him shudder. He fearfully stammered, beat me up? Why? What did I do? She asked softly. You were with Miss Tristan, weren't you? I hate her. Not just her, but the entire Tristan family. They're all devils in disguise. Dud narrowed his eyes, thinking she's got guts saying that here. But she's not wrong. According to the story, she has a deep hatred for the Tristans. It is a family feud. I understand. Dud explained. I just happened to be in the same carriage as her. Hearing this, she decisively pointed her sword at him, but you still remind me of her. You annoy me, so I was going to beat you up to vent my anger. But never mind. How about we just pretend to fight? Hearing this, he pondered. Honestly, that sounds appealing, but if I don't get stronger quickly in the next 2 days, I won't survive. The only way to survive is to get noticed right now. Thinking this, Dud suggested, just go all out. Dud started provoking her. Actually, I kind of like her. Elia suddenly widened her eyes, staring at him with a terrifying look. She tightened her grip on her sword and asked, are you serious? He thought to himself, of course I am lying, but if I want her to fight with all her strength, this is the only way. Dud's gaze, more resolute than ever, replied, I am serious. As serious as your hatred for her. System notification, deadly charm skill activated. The villain's attraction to you has greatly increased. A new reward has been added to the gift category. Elias scoffed. Then, I have no reason to feel guilty. Finishing her sentence, she rushed towards him. She swung a powerful blow, breaking his sword in two. The attack was so swift and decisive that Dud was both surprised and frightened. He leaned back to dodge, his face contorting in the process. Elnor asked in surprise, you dodged it, so you're not completely useless after all. Then let me speed things up a bit. Hearing this, his face darkened with fear. Dud gritted his teeth, sweating profusely, staring at her. The system flashed red, warning, dangerous situation detected. Danger level, non-life-threatening. Desperate survival skill activated at EX rank. Dud seemed unable to control his hand and punched her straight in the face, instinctively blurting out, hey, he thought to himself, EX rank? That powerful hand punched Elnor without any mercy. Dud stared in surprise, surrounded by blue light. He thought in astonishment, isn't this the highest rank? Dud's powerful punch left everyone watching the match speechless, and Elnor was sent flying into the stands. Meng was still in shock, frozen in place. Not much different from the audience, he was also speechless. Everyone around could not believe what they were seeing. They were all gritting their teeth in fear. Dud, with all F-rank stats, on his first day at Alfonte Academy, succeeded in subduing the protagonist of this world. Inside the building, an analyzing voice rang out. There are two possibilities. 1. This kid is an extremely good con artist. You change your mind quickly, Conrad. Either way, this is absurd. Conrad, sitting in a chair, said, anyone with eyes can see that before the match, he had absolutely no combat skills or strength. But that hit was definitely real. Atalanta, sitting opposite him in the center, asked, what do you mean? He bluntly replied, I mean that no one at Alfonte could get up after that hit. Not even me. The most likely scenario is he defeated Elia Crixanax with some kind of forbidden drug or tool, somehow temporarily boosting his power. The second possibility is that he is truly a monstrous genius. Then Atalanta adjusted her glasses and said, seriously, but this victory is hard to accept. The Kindred border commander, Elias patron, certainly won't stand idly by. However, if we ignore a student with great potential, the academy will suffer a considerable loss. If he is really a fraud, it will come out sooner or later, so let us just wait and see what happens. 他似乎很疑惑，问道：“你是什么意思？”纳特兰达回答：“今年有很多有趣的学生，有些非常特别，需要特别对待。如果他真像你说的那么特别，他一定会扮演重要的角色。”关于杜德的新故事迅速传开，成为你们话题，全世界都在关注杜德，他到底是什么人？伟大骑士的后裔，更是学院里有史以来最强大的天才。在一张愚蠢的照片下面，有一条非常清晰的标题：金德的心性。入学后立即参拜，他手里拿着新闻报道，沮丧地叹了口气，说道：“这该死的新闻，他那是认真的吗？”系统显示一条通知，无特殊礼物相关的个人资料信息已更新。系统显示了艾莉娜的信息，角色信息。艾莉娜老特里斯坦，新人等 Chers 同一起升到2 奖励准备领取，角色时间第一。阿米特男爵，好奇等级2期，获得100积分。他沮丧地把新闻报道扔到一边，放松地坐在椅子上，看着系统通知。系统记住显示，楼瓶子爵，好奇等级1期，获得50积分。耶伦德子爵，兴趣等级3级，获得100积分。杜德抬头看着系统屏幕，心想，如果发展等级是好奇、兴趣和信任，这些积分可以用在积分商店里。他仔细搜索 R5s， 我到好奇等级最高的人是 I am not， 但是为什么不应该对我有任何兴趣的最终 boss 会有这么多呢？系统显示收到了艾伊诺礼物的奖励，你已获得特里斯坦的建筑特质。杜德茫然的点击屏幕，我到特里斯坦家族的超级gem数，世界上争取gem数之一，真是划算。他犹豫了，问题是这个家族与恶魔有关，但无论如何，生存第一。系统显示角色信息，艾利亚克里克斯阿纳克西，好奇等级 CG， 目前无法领取奖励。杜德很惊讶，我道他为什么会出现在这个名单上？他想，礼物只给那些对他感兴趣的反派，但他既不是反派，也根本对他没有兴趣。他正在思考，时针敲门声卡了杜德一跳，他迅速转过身，外面的人问道：“这里是杜德的房间吗？”他想了一会儿，这个声音听起来很熟悉。外面的人是艾利亚。他话：“艾利亚克里克斯纳克来了，我可以 channel 吗？”听到这话，杜德有点懵了，这是怎么回事？如果我保持沉默，他为什么会来这里？也许他会离开。他伤痕累累，可怜兮兮地站在门外，轻声问道：“嘿，你在里面吗？如果你不回答，我就把门砸了。”听到这话，杜德惊慌失措，连忙喊道：“等等，你疯了吗？”听到这 fire， 艾利亚肯定道：“所以你在里面？你能打开门吗？我有事要跟你谈的。”他咬紧牙关，问道：“什么事？”艾利亚靠在门上，不好意思地夸：“这是帮助我能更好地了解彼此的事情。”杜德听到这话很困惑，想着到底发生了什么事。他看着长长的走廊，那里有温暖的金色灯光。艾利亚皱着眉头四处张望，然后他生气地转身走开，说道：“他本应该顺着我的话说下去，他为什么这个死板？”艾利亚想起自己被拖走，他挣扎着向杜德喊道：“嘿，我能做朋友吧？”好，Hey, if you long as the start is, can stop the ground that was not rated. 回到 Genshit， 艾利亚既生气又好奇，他身上有些奇怪的地方。他叹了口气，思考着，我不知道如何和男人交朋友，因为他太过于沉思。艾利亚没有注意到自己要去的地方，撞到了另一个人，导致他那手中的小包掉到了地上。他跪下来记起来，但另一个人说好了，你应该注意你要去的地方。被坑之后，他给巴巴的说，艾丽娜他在低头问道：“你没事吧？”艾利亚看到是der后，看得说不出话来。他那der也没过什么，只是互相盯着对方。他突然想起了那绝望的警告：“嘿，快跑，艾利亚！”这样，艾利亚想起了那个暴风雨和火灾的夜晚，有人站在他面前，为他解开了恩怨。他用颤抖的声音回答：“我没事。”艾利亚的眼睛里充满了仇恨，他心想：“我本能地摸向我的 gem， 以我目前的水平，我能打败他吗？”艾莉诺特里斯坦。就在他想到他的名字时，艾莉娜轻轻地伸出了手，他当儿呆了，全神贯注地盯着他，感到困惑。但他开始看到了他的手，那么他为什么一点反应都没有呢？艾莉诺可干了。艾利亚撒气包站了起来，推断道：“他是在暗示我不值得他做出任何反应。”他的手颤抖着，他把小包还给艾莉诺，呼道：“给你拿去。”在他的内心深处，艾利亚忍不住想：对的，他怎么也念去他。他那擦肩而过时，他提醒他往右走。Go past this turn and you will reach Dud's room. Eleanor stopped abruptly upon hearing this. Then she called Elia back, looking puzzled. Wait, how do you know where his room is? Eleanor's face darkened. Her eyebrows furrowed as she heard her reply. I have been with him all along. She continued doing what? Elia wondered to herself, why is she so hostile? Thinking this, she still replied with a friendly smile for friendship between new students. Elnor seriously reminded her, new students are not allowed to interact with the opposite sex. She was extremely surprised by this newly added rule. She slowly repeated, filled with killing intent, not allowed. Elia asked, puzzled, is there such a rule before she could finish? Elnor interrupted her sternly, I just made a rule. From now on, you're not allowed to come to his room anymore. She scratched her head, confused, and asked, excuse me, but what is the chairman's relationship with him? As she turned to leave, she called back, nothing at all. However, remember what I just told you. As Elia watched her leave, she thought of what Dud had said during their fight, as serious as her hatred for her. She thought angrily, there's something between those two. Even if it is just a little, I should keep getting closer to him. The Alfonte Academy's class sorting exam is designed to meticulously analyze every aspect of the academy. After a duel, students are divided into groups, and because I defeated the warrior candidate, I was placed in the highest level group. Everyone looks proud, but I am the only one who looks worried. The biggest problem is this girl. I pushed her away yesterday, but now she is in the same group as me. The system continued to display notifications, character information. Elia Crixanax. Level of interest, approaching interested, level of curiosity, 5. Rewards cannot be obtained yet, but the state of interest is about to change. Important characters will have a special event when the state of interest changes, he thought helplessly. Her level of interest has increased again. What is going on? Come and think of it, a snack package and a letter were delivered last night. It said, good luck on the exam tomorrow. He began to analyze in his gold head. So someone is watching me. Why is all this happening to me? Team 1, you are up aside thinking I will put that aside for now and focus on the exam. There should not be too many variables, since this is part of the main storyline. System display character information. Elnor La Tristan Trust Level 2. Character event will occur soon. Elnor stood solemnly and said firmly, pleased to meet you. I am Elnor, the person in charge of this exam. I was shocked to see her. What? This can't be a coincidence. Elnor's event was already planned for today, but she is directly in charge of our group. It would be unusual if nothing happened during this exam. 5 people are sitting around a round table, also watching intently through the orb placed in the center. They share the same thought. If he really is a genius to the point of defeating a warrior candidate, I want to see how he performs in this exam. Let the team leaders lead the exam just in case something happens. Eleanor waved her hand and said, first, let us move to the exam area. I will answer your questions when we get there. Luca suddenly exclaimed, they must have invested a lot in this place. Someone ahead of him called out, quiet and follow Luca. They all went into a dark place. Someone exclaimed, this place looks amazing. Another said, the lights just went out. She was silent in thought, and Elia, who was beside her, urged her on. Hey, you said you would answer the question when we got here. So is this part of the test? Dud, who was looking at the lever, thought to himself, I think I can answer that. The entrance is blocked, and the power is cut off. The system suddenly announced the Elnor event is in effect. After reading it, he sighed and thought, this is a trap, not a test. The system displayed again character information. Elnor La Tristan. The event following the assassination. Surviving assassins are still targeting her. Protect this person. One of the new student group members reminded, they will take care of it. Do not worry. Another person with dragon beard hair said, but we should move. No one knows what could happen here. Dud observed from a distance thinking, wait, I just noticed. All these people, they're all members of the main character's party. If I remember the script correctly, this is where they first meet. In other words, everyone in this room is quite important to the story. As soon as he thought that, he pointed to a wall and said decisively, I think the central hall is the most logical place to move to. One of them exclaimed in surprise, what the heck? Nadu yoidao ditu. Data giju ga, nadu kending meo jouyang wuzi. 最重要的是，那是一个空旷的区域。比起这些狭窄的走廊更容易防御伏击。特里谁假装害怕，មិន伏击。他记住快for farang。你那两个也一定感觉到了，对吧？主席和伊利亚，我那不是唯一在这里的人。他那听着，不知道该如何回应。我要走这边。伊利亚茫然地问，为什么？他简单地回答，因为有必要。他生气地指着他话，但是为什么？与我中央大厅完全相反。Data 的面色黯淡下来，沮丧地回答，我现在不能烧，但这非常重要。我稍后会解释。他看着阿伊诺想，是啊，这真的很重要。我没有对他的撒谎，没有什么比保护我那自己的生命更重要的了，对吧？黑暗中会jog不上 ，Data 握到，好吧，然后记住走。他回想起他对阿伊娜的强有力一击，心想，击败伊利亚似乎让我的话有了一些可信度。现在只需要躲藏起来，直到这个活动结束。总之，暗杀目标是阿伊娜，所以他呢不会注意到我。我只需要找一个安静的角落等待。我正在计算的时候，突然有人叫我。OK， 他微微倾斜头去看，一个非常可疑的高个子男人看着他，恳求帮助。我来这里是为了修理电气系统，你能引导我吗？ 我的眼睛在黑暗中看不清楚。达德感到木拉时，系统显示了红色警报，警告监测到危险情况，一行人在黑暗中行走。特里西踩到一个水坑，发出水声。他叫道：“嘿，艾莉，你觉得达德一个人去没问题吗？如果发生什么事呢？”伊迪亚姆意识地意识到了一些事情，回答过，他一定有一个计划，无论他在做什么。All disturbed， 但有些事情不对够。他们站在那里互相交谈，没有意识到许多戴着面具的神秘人在上方埋伏他们。但是艾莉娜已经注意到了一切，她稍微抬头看了一下，同时达德正和一个修理工一起走着，策划着，心想先锋队被那个狡猾的女人消灭了，但那只是因为我呢不在那里，甚至这个给活也很容易被愚弄。你仍然平静地走在他前面，你的两个记住走，你说塞比什就在前面，他仍然在沉思。作为一名专业的刺客，我只要观察别人的动作就能判断出他们的水准，而这个给活只是一个鱿鱼爱好者，我可以和他玩一回，然后再干掉他，然后我会拿走他的尸体，干掉特里斯坦小姐。道格没有得到回应，回头看了一眼，另一个人开始抹下他的人皮面具，手里拿着一把短剑。而 all times I like with confront， 现在是奖励你的时候了。你批判地叹了口气，感谢上帝，正如我预料的那样，如果我的对手有任何真正的实力，我可能会有危险。幸运的是，你的动作，甚至你的鼻炎，你仍然是我记忆中的那个人。他愤怒地皱着眉头，想他到底在过些什么。他开始握紧他的剑，希望让我能看看绝望的生存能力等住。他稍微犹豫了一下，让他皱着眉头想，我真的不知道该说些什么。总之，他只是一个弱者，我会立即干掉他。达德现在也进入了战斗姿势，双手紧握剑。在另一边，一个黑衣人被重重地撞在墙上，另一个被剑钉着，鲜红的血液四处飞飞。他那都完美的 KTL 击到了整个腹肌带。他那中的一个人惊讶地大声话：“怎么回事？”他那比我那想象的要安静。艾略特转身大喊：“博卡斯特，don't get他呢！”他心想：艾莉娜呢？想到艾莉娜，他用个踩在地上，他轻轻一吸剑将4个伏击者击飞到墙上。他那中的一个人痛苦地哭喊着，吐出了一口鲜血。他旁边的那个人立即咳出鲜血。艾莉娜走进其中一个伏击者，帮审问他：“除了你，还有谁被派来了？如果你不回答，我就扭断你的脖子。”他双手因恐惧而僵住，结结巴巴地说：“新月会已经开会了。”他紧逼着问：“他在这栋楼里吗？”他回答说：“我不能告诉你。”他怒不可遏，一脚踩在他的脸上。他抓住他的腿，把他举起来，冷冷地再次问道：“那个刺客在这里吗？”他专注地盯着他，他颤抖着回答：“是的，他和我们一起来的。”后面的艾莉亚也质问道：“是什么让你这样冒着生命危险？”那人回答说：“他们想杀我，而且新月会的哈兹马特是一个刺客，他可以在杀死别人后模仿他们的外貌，所以这栋楼里谁才是真正最危险的人？”艾莉亚皱着眉头想，说起来只有一个人。他喃喃自语道：“难道是？所以杜德把自己当作诱饵，引出最强大的敌人。他们是针对你的刺客，那他为什么要走那么远呢？你们到底是什么关系？”埃尔诺冷冷地回答说：“我告诉过你，我们什么都不是。至少据我所知，在杜德这边，梅德暗自咒骂道：可恶，像我这样的专业刺客竟然被打败了。守护灵应该是一个非物质屏障，只对武器起反应。那为什么？这里有特里斯坦剑术的痕迹，这所学校是一个古老而神秘的地方，所以这很合理。但即便如此，刺客本身就是一种武器。但为什么呢？你一击就能把他打得鼻青脸肿。在他反应过来之前，你用致命一击刺伤了他。系统通知你已成功施展特里斯坦剑术，你的特里斯坦剑术熟练度提高了。他看着手中的法杖，松了一口气。他愤怒地想着特里斯坦的剑术，看来我一开始就不应该碰他。然后靠在墙上，他艰难地说：“所以是你把我诱入陷阱的。”他很困惑：“你是谁？”系统继续显示：“致命魅力技能已激活，反派被你周密的计划震惊了。多亏了游戏系统，你不能在存档点使用武器。这就是我把他引到这里的原因。”他见他没有回应，便冷笑了一声：“我想你是不打算回答了，好吧，杀了我。”他漫不经心地回答说：“我不打算杀你。”他惊讶地问道：“为什么？”他没有回答他，而是只是转达这个信息：别傻乎乎地接近特里斯坦小姐，告诉他们，即使像你这样的顶级刺客也差点丢了性命。想到埃尔诺阴沉的表情，他暗自判断，我不知道是谁下的命令，但他们很可能不会罢休。如果那样的话，埃尔诺的灰色恶魔觉醒的可能性会更高。所以我想把这种危险扼杀在萌芽状态。他带着一丝得意地看着他，问道：“如果我再来呢？”他不假思索地直接向他发起了挑战。那就再试试吧，因为下次我也会保护他。他怀疑地问我：“李斯坦小姐真的对你那么重要吗？”我坦率地回答说：“就让我们说，是吧？”听了这话，他哑口无言。 系统显示一条通知，致命魅力技能已激活，分派的好感度大幅提升。埃尔诺听着我们说话，茫然地盯着我。杜德转过头去看，埃尔诺现在正一步一步地向我走来。在埃尔丰特学院的学生会办公室里，一个痛苦的声音喊道：“哦，天哪，真是一团糟！我理解校长为什么生气，但要我立即追查组织者，我已经有一大堆工作要做了。这所学院简直一团糟。根据暗杀企图的路线和时间，几乎可以肯定内部有间谍。埃尔诺，我知道针对你的政治内斗很常见，但这是第二次暗杀企图了。他们显然下定了决心。然而你却似乎毫不在意，只是含糊地说：我想知道。”女孩迅速推断：“好吧，这一次感觉不一样。不管是谁在幕后，我相信他们会再次尝试。而上次和你在一起的那些人，他们都受到了表彰，然而他们都没有被杀。但Duda，他是唯一一个没有受到表彰记录的人。Non ha motivo di non esserlo, e non capisco perché. E come se evitasse deliberatamente l'attenzione dello studioso. Sentendo l'analisi e le preoccupazioni delle sue compagne, Elnor disse semplicemente: ci sa, interrotta, la sua amica gridò con rabbia. Ti prendo a pugni se dici un'altra volta ci sa. Elnor, imperturbabile, provocò con noncuranza. Avanti. Esasperata, afferrò un barattolo e lo lanciò alla sua amica urlando: che ti prende? Elnor afferrò facilmente la fiala e chiese senza emozione: se un problema. La sua amica disse con impazienza: sei stata assente per tutto il giorno. Resti a concentrarti? Non so cosa stia succedendo, ma se non me lo dici, non ti aiuterò più. Elnor parlò. Improvvisamente. Credo che mi stia iniziando a interessare qualcuno. Sorpresa come se non credesse alle sue orecchie. La sua amica chiese: cosa? Elnor ripeté gentilmente: ho detto interessare. Immediatamente, una domanda spuntò fuori senza pensare. Ci. Elnor disse timidamente: lo hai appena menzionato. La sua amica chiese con sorpresa: Doug Campbell. Il silenzio riempì la stanza per alcuni secondi. La ragazza, che ora sembrava elaborare l'informazione, chiese con sorpresa: aspetta, ti piace quel campagnolo? Elnor ripeté immediatamente: non ho detto questo. Guardò la sua amica preoccupata e chiese: non lo hai fatto. Non so cosa abbia fatto per attirare la tua attenzione. Ma cosa succederebbe se il duca Tristan lo venisse a sapere? Elnor rispose semplicemente: quel vecchio sarebbe sicuramente furioso. Si avvicinò, rimise posto la fiala che aveva appena afferrato e disse con noncuranza: inoltre, non mi è nemmeno piaciuto. Cosando la sua amica vedendo il suo atteggiamento noncurante. Pensar solo a se stessa, immagino di sì. Elfani sospirò stancamente alla sua amica. Dai, non negarlo. In ogni caso, ti tratta piuttosto bene. Giusto? Normalmente. Saresti subito sospettosa. Come giovane signora della famiglia Tristan, dovresti essere più cauta. Eleanor rispose con calma: è vero, ma ho solo bisogno di metterlo alla prova. Guardò la foto di Dude sul suo profilo studentesco e disse: se osservo attentamente, dovrebbe andare bene. La sua amica non capì e chiese: cosa intendi? Nella sua stanza del dormitorio, Dud, la persona di cui si parlava, era sdraiato sul letto, fissando stranamente l'avviso dell'accademia. Disse qualcosa di simile. Cos'è questo? La lettera diceva: Dud, si dispiace informarti che non possiamo ancora annunziare la tua classe. Il team accademico sta ancora lavorando, e un progetto per garantire risultati ottimali. Puoi aspettarti buone notizie in futuro dopo averlo letto. Non provava nulla per l'annunzio e pensò: solo, non voglio aspettarmi nulla. Buttatemi in qualche classe, e dimenticatevi di me. E se stiamo seguendo le regole, non dovrei essere inserito in una classe speciale come il gruppo di Elia, perché mi escludono in questo modo? Doug vide poi un'altra notifica inviatagli: missione principale completata. Sono state aggiornate nuove informazioni. La missione principale è risolvere l'evento che si verificherà durante la cerimonia di benvenuto delle matricole. La ricompensa è materiale esclusivo per la creazione di equipaggiamento. Iniziò ad analizzare la nuova missione. La cerimonia di benvenuto delle matricole, dove viene decisa la classe del protagonista. Arcieri, guerriero, mago, sacerdote. La mia specializzazione sarà determinata in base a ciò su cui mi concentro. Sullo sviluppo, proprio come Elliot usa una spada, mi concentrerò anche sulla forza. In questo modo, riceverò materiale esclusivo adatto per la creazione di equipaggiamento. C'è solo un problema. Dud cliccò sulla bacheca delle informazioni del personaggio aggiornata. Elnor la Tristan. Livello di favorevolezza du aumentato. a livello 5, temporaneamente aumentato, a causa di un effetto speciale, ricompensa speciale ottenibile, e un personaggio importante. Sta arrivando un evento speciale, e ci sono 3 giorni rimasti per l'evento correlato. Il prossimo è Elia Crixanax. Livello di interesse 5. Deve raggiungere la soglia per un cambiamento di affetto. È un personaggio importante. Sta arrivando un evento speciale e ci sono 3 giorni rimasti per l'evento correlato. Evento 12 Flosio. Tenendosi la testa per l'esaurimento, pensando che il boss finale, il personaggio principale, e l'evento della missione principale stessero accadendo tutti allo stesso tempo. Qualcosa di grosso sta sicuramente per accadere. Improvvisamente è apparso un avviso, abilità acquisita, copia abilità, ti permette di copiare un'abilità dal bersaglio. Fisso siocato il testo lampeggiante, preso dal panico, dannazioni, che diavolo, copia abilità, è pazzesco. Non si era affatto aspettato questa situazione. La gioia era travolgente. Posso copiare l'abilità del boss finale, ma esito pensando, no, usarla ora sarebbe uno spreco. Anche se Elinor potrebbe attualmente essere al vertice della catena alimentare dell'Accademia, come il personaggio principale Elia, e anche un boss finale con il potenziale per crescere. Avrà un sacco di abilità potenziate in seguito, quindi non c'è motivo di usare la copia abilità ora. Ora, devo prepararmi per l'evento che si svolgerà nei prossimi 3 giorni. Fortuna, so qualcosa che può aiutarmi a sopravvivere. Sfruttando l'oscurità, si affrettò verso un magazzino nel profondo dell'area abbandonata dell'Accademia. Era la vecchia armoria. Kenji Yentian po da difan data son li kotsi. Noyon sifan shandian jinsha tai hala. Lai jadi zhitian, tawe jitsuremu junbila hendo donsi. Speed boosters to increase speed at a low level. Shadow mask to increase agility at a low level. And cat shoes to support silent footsteps at a low level. Trungwa mei sung anchen gencha ho, 我终于到达了银河玩家的全部地点之一，像野猫一样敏捷，打得轻松地爬上了床。庆幸地，他精准地跳了下来。这次从系统兑换来的物品中，有一种相当特别的恢复蛋糕，可以以前所未有的方式恢复你的体力。听起来像广告，但可是有效。现在我们四处搜寻一下吧。他在对面仓库的沟东西中翻找，一边嚼着面包，一边想，我已经找到其他所有重要的东西了，现在只剩下最后一件事了。找到了主题文物，一个包含千年力量的古老香炉。我拿出香炉，对自己轻声口，我现在拥有所需的一切了。突然，他的抬头，表情郑重。原来当我拿起香炉时，我不小心导致成堆的木箱摇晃起来。我惊恐地看着他呢，箱子实际上开始倒塌了。他的地晃的想，该死！我知道事情不可能永远顺利。突然，一个睡得很香的女孩出现在掉落的垃圾后面，让我感到惊讶。他抱起她，真正的发现是尤利亚。同时，他醒了过来，惊讶地夸：“尤利亚，第2章的 boss， 萨尔后被诅咒的兼职女神。我刚得到的东西属于她，所以她通常躲在这里。”突然，系统发布紧急通知，检测到危险情况，危及生命的危险，绝望生存 ，X 等注意行动。尤利亚收紧了他手上的锁链，紧张的气氛吓了他一跳。他赶紧话：“抱歉吵醒你。”但实际上，在他完成之前，他的一面惊慌地受到了尤利亚飞无锁链的攻击。当时那只不过是尤利亚的 Kedo， 这次攻击非常强烈，但他只能咬紧牙关忍受。冰冷的铁刃擦身而过，让他明白了眼前的处境，但现在这关系到生存。在战斗中，他的不止一次的虚头 Jace， 一个误会，我没打算在他睡觉的时候做任何事。他痛苦地想，即使拥有 X 的力量，我全身更是很痛。尤利亚没有回答，但他轻蔑的眼神 censured 冷酷的怀疑。没有给他的休息的时间，尤利亚收紧了他的控制，锁链在空中像一条愤怒的钢蛇般咆哮，而他只是躲闪，蹦不停地过。拜托了，他猛爬过来，杀气随着每一次的移动而爆发，而他再一次设法迅速躲避了攻击，以尽量减少伤害。尤利亚的安压地瞪大了眼睛，然后默默地记住发动一场暴风雨般的攻击，吓得抖晃的后退，他的心在胸腔里砰砰直跳。他耐心叹了口气，幸运的是，我知道该怎么做才能避免再次被击中。指尖像闪电般冲向他，但他的咬紧牙关，闭上眼睛，只是站在原地。我保持不动，但奇怪的是，摩电停在了离我land不到1指缝的地方。立即尤利亚收回了锁链。凭借我之前的经验，我在耐心看了口气，3不半，任何进入这个范围的敌人都会立即被击败，但作为教看，他连一步都不能前进。这就是尤利亚诅咒的机制，一个绝对的限制。 看到我站在那个距离内，他话，你能向前走一步吗？ Dada 毫不犹豫地回答，这样你就可以看我了。他的眼睛仍然盯着我，他直截了当地回答，是的。但在那一刻 Dada 知道他也无法逃退，在寂静的空间里，他的肚子突然咕咕叫了起来。正是在那一刻 Dada 突然意识到，等等，这是他的私人区域，因为他必须与所有人隔离，甚至老师也很少来这里。他想了一嘴，然后轻轻地过，嘿，你想吃蛋糕吗？就这样 Dada 张开手，露出了一个他之前从系统买来的能量恢复蛋糕，这些蛋糕将提供前所未有的耐力恢复。他 Jones 不想象人们在这种情况下总是会感到渴，看到我这样做尤利亚生气的时候，我不会被这种小伎俩诱惑的。你真的想用食物来贿赂我吗？ Dada 没有再过什么，他只是扔出了面包，本能的尤利亚像一只小狗一样飞出去接住了他，面包缓解了紧张的气氛。他说，好吧，我相信这只是一个错误。 Dada 给自己添加了一个观察，他的时候真的无法交流。Dada 出于干预松了一口气，小声嘀咕着，好险。乖乖地站在他身后的尤利亚突然问道，你是 Dare？ 你在这里做什么？这个问题让他愣住了，在脑海中他想偷东西，但当然不能画出来。他张开嘴，义正辞严地回答，我是来给你送食物的，我宁去的人让我照顾你。尤利亚嚼着面包，好奇地看着 Dada， 你宁去的人，现在留下一个好印象，以后可能会有用。在游戏里，我不可能这么早遇到尤利亚，所以他补充话，没错 ，but then sin, your sister's doing well in the Holy Empire. The current emperor doesn't care about you two, but you should stay put for now. I will be back. Uriah is from the Holy Empire, and she's hiding in Alfonte because of the emperor. Her sword is infamous as an evil artifact, and as the sword's vessel. She suffers the three-step curse, so it's probably okay to mention her only relative. She must have gone through so much, and she has so little hope left. Next morning, the sun is shining and a pleasant voice rings out in the open air. This is the academy building. That's the arena, and the training ground is over there. You can see everything from here. Right? Yes. The guide is none other than Headmaster Ophelia. She's guiding her students. You'll have to choose a major and a minor. Production, academics, martial, arts, and faith. You already know about these 5 departments, right? A curious student asks, does the tribe have the same teaching system as the Holy Empire? Ophelia smiles, not bothered, but rather amused by the question. Yes, we teach the same as the Warforge and the Great Holy Temple, so don't even think about transferring anywhere else. Let me explain more about the departments. Among the students, Dud stands silently, his mind swirling with his own thoughts. This is orientation, where I can get information about this world, but I can't ignore it. All my efforts so far will be for nothing. Dud thought impatiently, why do they keep asking when he saw a young man point and ask if Headmaster Ophelia manages that area, right? In the distance, almost completely separated, a huge area appeared covered by a shimmering barrier. The teacher said, yes, but that is a forbidden area. Anyone who enters will be punished immediately. The thought flashed through Dud's mind, the void. It is the ruins of the historic war between heaven and hell. It was here that divine messengers and chosen warriors sealed away the demons. Even though hundreds of years have passed, the aftershocks of divinity and death still clash incessantly. This area is extremely important in case the demons break the seal. Therefore, the Holy Empire, the Tribal Alliance, and the Empire established the Golden Triangle to monitor this area. Alfonte and other academies are also part of that system. Snapping back to reality, the atmosphere of the student orientation became clear again. Luca, with striking hair, raised his hand, his voice a mixture of curiosity and excitement. Headmaster Ophelia, could we get a little closer to take a look? Ophelia replied kindly, standing at the edge of Sarah's protective shield is permitted. Inside that, we will be safe. In the crowd, Dud smiles to himself, relieved. Okay, next plan, leave, have lunch, then come back here. I have something else to do. Angels can move mountains and drain oceans. Seraphs, even higher, created this barrier. The students are now standing right in front of the barrier, just a few steps from the void. Ophelia spreads her arms and says cheerfully, let's have lunch here. The students smile happily, resting and looking around. Even though they're standing in front of one of the most dangerous places, the academy exists here because of the Seraph's barrier. Dud, clutching his backpack, looks at Ophelia and asks, can I go a little further away? I don't feel comfortable standing here. Hearing this, she frowns, thinking this kid is being talked about a lot because of what happened. But she warns him, you can't go too far, or you'll get into trouble. Dud quickly replies, yes. In the distance, Talion mutters angrily that Hick is getting arrogant just because he's getting attention. In a secluded place, Dud takes out an ancient incense burner. He puts in unicorn horn powder, phoenix feathers, and a fan made of coral. Everything is ready. The ultimate divine artifact, a portable incense burner with divine power. At that moment, a mystical vortex of light suddenly appeared in space. He stared at it, unblinking, wondering if he'd forgotten anything. I came all this way to use this thing that allows me to access entities that ordinary people would never dare to dream of. Dud stood before a massive explosion, but he did not seem afraid. A fog appeared, and a voice rang out from somewhere. Where are the Allied forces? No. I said flatten the ground, not dig trenches and leave them. He looked intently ahead. They say the Sarians did it. Following Dud's gaze, they saw someone digging. Look, rookie, do you think flatten means dig a hole while the ground's too hard? Someone replied, your shovel isn't any harder. Suddenly, Ezer and the person next to him turned to look at him. He couldn't help but ask, what's with that guy? He's been staring over here for a while now, but whatever, at least he's quiet, which is better than those who bother us while we're working. Suddenly, Ezra approached with a scary look, immediately asking, why did you stop so suddenly? Why isn't your shovel moving? The man stammered a bit. A magic circle appeared before him, while the two on the other side were still arguing. It's moving, no. Spread it out. Don't dig down anymore. Then the other one shouted. With a hint of fear, a frog jumped out. A moment later, a car arrived with 2 loudspeakers. The person in the car called out, hey, the holy mud bricks are here. Unload them quickly. An angel wondered, how much is it? As soon as he finished speaking, bags of bricks were thrown to the ground along with the reply, a lot. Then there was a shout. The girl driving the car saw an angel eating a cookie during work hours and asked, why are you sitting there eating a cloud cookie? He suspiciously replied, you're the driver, right? And I am a soldier too. Please save your energy for driving. He stood in front of the magic circle observing as Ezer urged the other angels. Hey, can't you see the seniors are working? Hurry up. Hearing that, the person ran off in a hurry, stammering, Sergeant Ezer, I will do it right away. Suddenly, he approached the captain and asked, Captain, haven't the supplies arrived yet? The captain replied, sorry, the transport truck is delayed. They're fixing it. Please wait a little longer. There's more complaining from over there. Privity, it is broken. Hearing that, Dud chuckled, thinking, no wonder angels don't just descend all the time. If I had to describe angels, they're like an army. They have a clear hierarchy, with a strict chain of command. This world has its own rules. Meeting an angel can only happen from chapter 2 onwards, and direct contact with high-ranking angels can only happen much later. I know what they want, something simple and basic. In just a moment, the place where he was sitting was filled with food, neatly packed in paper boxes. Dud exclaimed, thank you for the meal. He immediately took the first bite. The delicious taste made Dud close his eyes to enjoy it. That aroma caught the angels' attention. They whispered to each other, he's still looking this way. What did he bring? Look at him eating so deliciously. Can we ask for a little? You haven't met the requirements yet. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and move those bricks. Suddenly, he smiled and said, my angels, eat before you continue working or you'll be exhausted. Then the food boxes were instantly teleported elsewhere, and a system notification appeared conveying the completion of the offering. The pastries were delivered to the angels who were working. They turned to look at each other and smiled happily. Ezra said loudly, that guy really. All right, break time. 10 minutes, everyone. There are bread rolls and even steak. What a thoughtful person, Dud thought to himself. The rules of this world are different from the real world. Just one serving for me is enough for all of them. As a few more rays of light appeared in the sky, a voice also rang out on the ground. I am full. How extravagant. While we're still working. Hey, give it here. You came to us because you need something from the incense burner next to him, right? Give it here. I will bless it. Speak, but must be reasonable. I will try to fulfill your request. Hearing this, he thought in surprise. That is it. They agreed so easily. I prepared a ton of negotiation plans. Was there such an easy path in the cries? Original? He seemed to read my mind. Ezra looked thoughtful. You're thinking, why is someone as ordinary as me being treated so well? I know. You think you can see through things just by observing. He can see the true nature of something and his eyes locked on me. It seems you understand quite a bit. You possess an ability, but you haven't developed it at all. 现在投资他，之后会对你很有帮助。听到这话，读得更加恩雅。他在说什么？这份礼物指的不是我的特质，被黑暗所爱的那种。伊斯拉补充撒，这份礼物比你想象的重要强大的多。但是，如何使用它完全取决于你。但也正因为如此，你才被一个无情但友善的怪物注意到了。我很担心，但没有表演出来。可我呢，我就知道，拿到香炉后，我会找到每一种可能性。我必须不惜一切代价优化我的生存之路。仅仅1秒钟，伊斯拉就变成了另一种形式，打算全战独斗。普通人听到这些话会立刻恐慌，但他可冷静地开始分析和制定策略。我明白了，一个伟人正在逐渐成型。看来我已经没什么好担心的了。好吧，我已经完成了我的祝福。他说，我回答我，谢谢你先生。不同的声音响起 side 中是，你为什么要对一个人说那些话？路由完成，快完成了。无此同期，读的仍然沉浸在自己的思绪中，无情但悠闲。那是什么意思？可有我一个伟人， 他是不是太高估我了？离开前，伊斯拉更是散发转身 so 除了他的最后一句话，相信自己，我宁可你。对话结束了，眼圈消失了，他呆呆地坐在那里很久，嘟着叹了口气，如此重复地完成了他的目标。我只是想努力工作，因为我不想死，但这仍然是天使的警告，所以我会仔细考虑。当感应器漂浮在空中时，系统出现了 Jobs 的申请 C+ 包含来自另一个世界的申请实体的特殊力量。两个技能酷刑 C 通过使用少量法力将所有奖励属性转换为活力。Lunker 20秒可以通过信仰的证明来进化。宝物罩使用少量法力来创建一次性宝物屏障并获得活力效果。Lunker 20秒可以通过申请伤口进化。他闭上眼睛，脑海中充满了模糊的想法。那位天使给了他一些非常有用的祝福，身体属性与健康有关，因此它能直接影响生存能力。因为我拼命的生存可以帮助我快速提高属性，所以这些技能肯定会很有用。但最重要的是进化，在这个世界里，可以进化的东西自然会随着时间的推移而提高性能。在故事的早期开端获得这个真是一大新闻，系统通知出现，消耗少量法力。他心想，但问题是对于像我这样没有任何相关属性的人来讲，这只是一个白日梦。如果我现在不能使用法力，我将不得不找到另一种方法来暂时替代它，这也是我来这里的原因。他面前的人提醒道，你根本不专心。道哥回答我在听。是的，你又在听我撒什么？我全都听到了。你撒我那必须构成两人一狗。对 Mother his very time to fall of tangents。他看起来有点傻，说道，你知道两人一口是什么意思？那么你的搭档在哪里？听到这话，他自信地笑着回答，他很快就会来了。那人嘲笑说，这会想和像你这么默默无凭的人在一起，觉得我没有光，这个地方很快就会挤满人了。你在过什么？他看了看手表并分析过，我的搭档不仅仅是出名。他心想，根据故事的进展，他应该很快就会出现了。他刚说完 Alio 就出现在他的身后。你好，抱歉，这里是怪物研究部门吗？嘟的转身向他打招呼，心想，其实我最初并没有打算与主角有瓜葛，但在听取了那个的建议后，我改变了主意。老天使艾莉亚也念出了他喃喃自语道的，嘟的转向艾莉 Artolan contries你说的，你忽定你是看，你说的要更好的相互了解真算是吗？他很困惑，一时不知道该如何回应。我记得当时艾伊娜我真的很喜欢他，但他刚说完就被一个屋族拖走了。在那之后，他们就被分开了。人们小声说心声不允许互相约会，他那是什么关系？他那不停地质问他呢。Non è niente, cosa sta facendo Dud? Hai detto che non c'è niente tra noi. Dud ha offerto un'amicevole stretta di mano. Era confusa, pensando che fosse incredibile. Dud, nessun metodo funziona, quindi ora sta passando a tattiche che rendono le persone gelose. Io ho solo sentito voci di quanto sia delirante questo ragazzo. Simulazione dell'Accademia del Segreto. Nello spazio oscuro, appaiono solo 4 punti rossi luminosi. Qualcuno ha chiesto, Dud, sei sicuro di questo? Dud ha cercato di convincere l'altra persona con una faccia non proprio affidabile. Fidati di me. Non vuoi essere mio amico? Ti ricordi la prima volta che ci siamo incontrati? Stavi per colparmi. Elia ha risposto, con un tono un po' imbarazzato. Certo, anche se ero quella che è stata colpita. Poi è passato immediatamente alla modalità battaglia. La sua faccia estremamente seria e ha gridato indicando in avanti. Se vuoi davvero essere mio amico dopo questo, allora fai come ti dico. Ora 9, tre di loro immediatamente. L'enorme mostro ruggì furiosamente. Ai suoi denti affilati, come se potesse masticare. Ai suoi nemici, in qualsiasi momento. Alzò il pugno per attaccare. Una voce sorpresa ha gridato. Ha decapitato rapidamente il mostro con un solo colpo. È successo tutto in un lampo. Poi Dud ha parlato. Altri due dal soffitto. Erano mostri simili, a pipistrelli, ma con lunghe zanne e penetranti occhi rossi che sembravano incredibilmente visiosi. Sulla base delle sue osservazioni, conoscenze ed esperienze, Dud ha annunziato rapidamente che la loro debolezza è il loro collo. Non mirare alle ali. Attacca direttamente ai loro corpi. Elia ha reagito rapidamente lanciando 2 rapidi colpi ai loro corpi. Poi ha detto, sembrando un po' scontenta che, non ti limiti a stare lì a dare ordini, dammi una mano, ma ha ricevuto solo una breve risposta, no. Ha continuato a osservare e dare istruzioni. 2 lame stanno arrivando sia da sinistra che da destra, ma puoi semplicemente deviarle. Resisti solo per 10 secondi. le lame sono arrivate a rota di callo, ma sorprendentemente, Elias laha abilmente, evitate tutte. Con la guida di Dude, buono, il prossimo è il veleno paralizzante. Lo spruzzatore di veleno è sulla destra. Distruggilo ora. Elias ha lanciato la sua spada con decisione tagliando, a metà lo spruzzatore di veleno. Dud continua, prossimo. Shiva le tre frecce che volano dal nostro lato. State fermi lì. 3 2 1. Ora se un attacco da dietro. Sentendo questo, Elia girò freneticamente la testa. Sebbene sorpresa, è ancora in grado di bloccare l'attacco grazie alla guida di Dude e alle sue rapide reazioni. Di fronte alla situazione appena accaduta, Dude dà istruzioni e le segue, facendo arrabbiare Elia. Se sapessi tutto in questo modo, probabilmente potresti gestirlo meglio di quanto potrei io. Lavorando insieme, supereremo tutto questo più velocemente. Hai solo incoraggiato e dato istruzioni invece di combattere. Sentendo Elia dir che si blocca, voglio aiutare, ma non posso. Sono solo un personaggio spazzatura con tutte le statistiche di grado F. Questa è solo una battaglia simulata, non c'è un vero pericolo. Quindi la mia disperata abilità di sopravvivenza non si attiverà. Queste sono solo entità artificiali, che operano secondo una sceneggiatura preprogrammata. Poiché la sopravvivenza disperata non è un'abilità onnipotente, devo aumentare rapidamente le mie statistiche. All'improvviso, Elia si precipita verso Dodd. Il suo volto determinato sembra terrificante, tenendo la sua spada e correndo dritto verso di lui, gridando Dodd. Il suo volto impallidisce. I suoi occhi si spalancano, le sue pupille si contraggono, appare un sorriso forzato. Questo è troppo crudo. Elia balzò in piedi scatenando un potente colpo di spada, che resise la testa di un grande mostro umanoide, dietro Dud. Il suo volto era pieno di determinazione e fiducia. Dud, assistendo alla scena, poteva solo restare a bocca aperta per lo stupore. Mentre atterrava, i cannoni di coriandoli si sono spenti a un ritmo allarmante. Aveva appena battuto il record precedente. Elia, ancora stordita, faciesto in confusione. Che diavolo sta succedendo? Ho combattuto da sola e ho stabilito un record. Questo dovrebbe essere una sfida per 2 persone. Allora cosa sta succedendo? Il suo sorriso era un po' teso mentre pensava. Anche se sembro saiato, in realtà sono uno che si prova molto. Poi, Doug ha risposto a Elia. Siamo stati fortunati. La prossima area sarà un po' più difficile, ma continuiamo così. Buona fortuna. Ma, Doug probabilmente non ha visto quanto fosse arrabbiata. Le sue sopracciglia erano aggrotate. I suoi occhi erano ben chiusi, e i suoi denti erano stretti sulle sue labbra, così arrabbiata che non si è nemmeno preoccupata di voltarsi e urlare. Sembrava che qualcuno avesse assistito all'intera battaglia, attraverso uno specchio magico e quella persona ha elogiato il loro ottimo lavoro. Questo è il decano Percy Spellgraph. Percy stringe le labbra e decide. Sembra che dovremo stanziare più finanziamenti per le battaglie simulate il prossimo anno. 然后他转向康拉德征求意见。康拉德，你怎么看？一名身穿陆军陆制服的男子把手放在一个身高刚过1米的人的头上，问道：“这是监制部门 Seki 的吗？”那人回答我：“嗯哼。”穿制服的男子康拉德记住够，但更重要的是，他那锁定的目标表演得这么好，我真是太兴奋了。对此，波西回答我：“你说的是那个女孩吗？”下该的监视候选人，他那的进展非常迅速，卡是值得关注，但紧接着，他很快纠正了自己。An arson on the side. 不是他，是他，刀哥 can be. Poor C email no 火的质疑那个胖子，他不就是跟在监视候选人后面吗？这就是你的问题。培恩推崇法师，我呢为什么要争论这个 fast full of content？ 但康拉德坚定地回答过，监视候选人不可能独自创造这个记录。他很惊讶，什么？然后他解释说，任何人都看得出他在主要战斗中更强大，但他才是关键。他安排特有的方式，他每秒发出的金刻指令。他完美的演武，他的每一个行动都是最准确的决定。康拉德心想，一切都经过精心计算。仿佛他在残酷的战场上战斗了数千次。然后他转向波西建议，说波西，打个赌，让他措手不及。就在这 Connor Sher in Not Dado 和艾莉 Not 听到了一个公告。米克尔根查，我是夜干部的康拉德。在观察了妮娜之后，我也开始感兴趣了。魔法部门决定打个赌，主题是你们两个是否能通过1年级。如果你们两个真的成功了，我会给你一个特权，你可以提出任何要求。听到这话，波西很动摇，他看起来明显很困惑。你为什么要走这个面？他继续告道，如果你感到有压力，我不会强迫你。 以你现在的情况，这个要求几乎是不可能的。但令人惊讶的是，达的自信而大声地回答过，没关系。他坚定地肯定道，当然，我呢绝对可以做到。伊利欧非常慌乱，表情不确定。达的自信让波西不高兴。看看他，但看了的。另一方面，我会祝你成功，所以让我呢开始吧。在其他地方，这到底怎么回事？阿方索不高兴地抱怨道，我知道你来，这里是为了放松心情。突然，声音大天了，给我睡。然后他继续抱怨，但你一定要这么大惊小怪吗？艾莉诺疲惫地躺在地上，有气无力地伸手去拿水瓶。他沉重地说，我想记住一些东西，似乎不确定艾莉诺的意思。他详细细数我，小时候我妈妈教我这些技巧，但我不太清楚地记得它呢，所以我正在努力回忆它呢。特里斯坦家族的血统中住着一个窝魔，这个黑暗的谣言有两面性，一是他那所拥有的非凡的非人天赋。当被问到，艾莉诺，你不是在哭大崎岖吗？他微微抛开眼睛，另一面是疯狂爆发、极端暴力的时刻，以及理智的衰退。这就是为什么，即使特里斯坦家族的人取得了无所伟大的成就，他们的晚年总是悲惨的。然后他停顿了一下，艾莉诺打开水瓶，不停地喝着。阿方特问道，没有那么严重是吗？他坐了起来，回答我，没什么好担心的，我再也不在乎了。另一个女人不相信地问道，真的？那我猜我可以坦率地说了。艾莉诺放下水瓶，看起来很严肃。你为什么这么谨慎？我告诉你，现在没什么能困扰我了。红棕色头发的女孩回答过，是关于那件事。那个人告诉我立即报告，我从 Junia 那都听过的。达的目前和下盖的监视候选人在一起。听到这方过，艾莉诺转过身来，下盖的监视候选人，他迅速肯定道，是的，伊利亚·克里克瑟纳克苏，那个和达的战斗的女孩。他隐也猜到了，所以他话这两个人正在合作，因为某一艘戏是以两人一哭的形式进行的。我知道了，但不难注意到他又叹了口气，可能在想些什么。水瓶现在被怎样变形了，水洒在了地板上。Eleanor was not tangible. There was not a. Afonso 很惊讶，大声看到，但你刚才看的，你不在乎。Dud pulled out his sword. Seeing this, Elia asked, what are you going to do? I know you're good, but is challenging the all-time record really worth it? He just replied coolly, yeah. Faced with Dud's response, Elia, who was annoyed, frowned slightly. Your confidence is something else. Do you actually have a plan? He adjusted his clothes, thinking, artificial monsters have fixed patterns, easy to target their weak spots, but I can't tell her that. So, he replied very casually, okay, since you're here with me. Hearing that, she frowned slightly, her cheeks flushed, and said, I don't believe you. Conrad announced over the loudspeaker. This is Conrad. Are you two ready? Without hesitating, he replied, I am ready. Hearing the certainty in his voice, she was somewhat impressed. Perfect. Now, adjust the test difficulty, but if you do, they'll get bonus points. Dud confidently replied, please set the difficulty to the highest level. Hearing that, Percy frowned and exclaimed, I really can't trust these freshmen. They seem reasonable, but this is too much. The highest difficulty, they could lose their lives. He still answered confidently. Even so, I still think it's worth a try. Seeing his confidence, Conrad was pleased. Fulfill his request. Elia looked visibly worried. Maybe she didn't think two freshmen could complete a task at the highest difficulty. Dud reassured her, don't worry, warrior. What's done is done. Percy, enjoying a warm drink and delicious cake, said, I can't believe you, Conrad. You're acting like this is the first time. Haven't we done the same thing to previous freshman classes? She thought, there's something different this time. He confidently replied, wait and see. Professor Percy, there must be a reason for such confidence. No matter how dangerous it gets, we just need to save them. Okay. Carnage mode activated. Prove yourself. Freshman Ilia Lagrande Damago. Percy could only sigh helplessly. The Dean of Tactics was in tears. Our club is finished. Meanwhile, he was extremely confident. Monsters rushed towards Dud from all sides. At that sight, the system displayed bright red text. Warning. Danger detected. Danger level determined to be life-threatening. Grasping his sword tightly, his face calm and focused, Dud swung his sword quickly and powerfully with a whoosh. The head of the ferocious rhinoceros in front of him was severed from its neck. Conrad was extremely excited. He shouted, I knew it! That's what I was waiting for, Percy. Did you see that? She was so surprised she spat out her tea. The Dean of Tactics was also surprised and widened both eyes. Elia, who was fighting the monsters, also saw it and exclaimed, Dud, I knew it. A large wolf was charging fiercely towards him, but Dud wasn't afraid and ran towards it at extreme speed. Percy, not believing what he was seeing, said, How is this possible? He's completely useless now. Each of Dud's sword strikes was extremely precise. With just one blow, he could take down a monster instantly. Conrad, as if understanding him, replied, He's just pretending. I don't blame you. If you've never witnessed his true skills, anyone would react like that. But over time, the monsters will become stronger, and so will he. That means both sides will evolve together. At this moment, Elliot was extremely focused on her battle. She had continuously eliminated 2 monsters and a giant ant. He wasn't far behind, as the number of demonic beasts eliminated was the same. They continuously defeated many powerful monsters. Elia gritted her teeth, bent her knee, and swung a sword. The figure of the weapon became dazzling and sharp. After landing the fatal blow on the giant ant, she yelled, "Now, Dud!" He immediately understood and replied, "Got it." Then he used Elias' shoulder as a springboard and jumped. Dud aimed precisely, preparing for a beautiful sword strike, the Tristan's swordsmanship, La Volpe. He unleashed countless fatal attacks on the giant ant, then Dud successfully landed gracefully. An announcement rang out, "Congratulations! This power is incredible. Dud Campbell and Elia Crixanax. They have broken the all-time record," but it seemed the giant ant wasn't completely defeated. It raised its sharp leg, intending to pierce him. Seeing the danger, she immediately warned, "Ah, Dud." Surprised, he turned to see the attack was very close. Suddenly, a voice rang out, "Duck." Only a golden ray flashed past. Conrad's precise and powerful sword strike caused its body to explode into 100 pieces. He still seemed stunned by that dangerous moment, just standing there dumbfounded while he successfully cleared the obstacle and landed right in front of Dud. He is praising him, congratulating him, saying this record won't be easy to break. He still looks dazed while the other one keeps chattering on. Who would have thought a freshman could handle Alphantes, artificial monsters so easily? Even though Elia is panting, she's still excited. Professor Conrad, but his voice still sounds very pleased. "Thank you, warrior candidates, for your efforts." Conrad sheaths his sword, smiling smugly. "I won, Percy." Now Percy's lips are slightly down-earned as if he still can't accept it. Unbelievable. Soon after, the results are in. He and Cher reading the award announcement together, marveling. They get the entire warehouse and the right to request anything from the dean of the magic department. Elliot shouts excitedly, "That is amazing." Dud, who has been watching, is also pleased. No freshman has ever had this privilege. A generous reward indeed. Then she turns to him and asks, "Hey Dad, I have noticed this before, but why are you always so calm?" Doug calmly asked back, "What do you mean?" Elias smiles slightly and replies, "No matter what happens, you always act as if you knew how the situation would unfold, or as if everything is going according to your plan. The way you act has that kind of nuance." Hearing her assessment, he thinks to himself, but does not say aloud, "Of course, because I already know everything." "You fool." Elia held out her fist, signaling for a fist bump. Dud, confused, asked what. Her face lit up as she replied, "Isn't that what friends do? I mean a fist bump." He seemed rather indifferent, honestly. The moment their hands bumped, the system displayed Elia Crixanax Curiosity Level 5, approaching the trustworthy stage. Dud asked, "Are you okay?" Elia, her cheeks slightly flushed, gently replied, "Yeah." With that, she turned and ran off, leaving him standing there cheerfully saying, "Then see you tomorrow, Dud." Someone suddenly commented, "I do not know if she's just friendly or simply weird." Dud shook his head, replying, "Yeah, think so too." Then he suddenly realized the voice was familiar. Wait, the student council president. Elnor calmly, without a flicker of emotion, asked Dud, "Do you like that freshman?" Seeing that he did not answer, she cleared her throat, startling Dud. He stammered, unsure how to respond. What her then Dud thought if the survival instinct is not triggered. "It seems she does not intend to do anything to me. Wait is not that obvious. I am not her boyfriend or anything." But Elnor was not about to let it go and continued to ask, her tone more serious than before. "I will only ask once. Do you like that freshman?" Dud still hesitated, unsure how to answer when suddenly the system's warning sounded. Danger detected. This frightened him, and his face turned pale. An indescribable feeling flashed through him. "I feel like I have to say something." Meanwhile, the system continued to warn danger detected. At this moment, Dud spoke up, his tone strangely calm. "So what?" Student council president. Eleanor was surprised what her composure did not last long, and he was overwhelmed by her aura and became flustered. Well, Dud mustered all his courage, closed his eyes tightly, and said to her decisively, "Even though I've been practicing with Elia all this time, I really want to meet her." She froze on the spot when she heard what Dud had just said. Why so suddenly? At that moment, Dud breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had just escaped a dangerous situation. But inside, the psychological warfare was still going on. He questioned himself, "What the hell are you doing, Dud Campbell? This tactic won't work, you idiot." Eleanor's lips seemed to curl slightly. She confirmed with him, "So you're saying you've been thinking of me all this time?" Before Doug could think, he quickly replied, "Yes." Eleanor crossed her arms, turning to question him. "Why?" He did not seem to anticipate this question, so he stammered, unable to speak. "I do not know why either." Deep down, Dud was wondering the same thing. What is wrong with me? Seeing this, she gently brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. Her cheeks flushed red. Glancing away, her face showing a rare shyness. Forget it. Maybe it is just some kind of friendship. I understand. It is because I saved you on that ship, right? Wait, do you remember the priority list? Hearing her say that, he was utterly confused. Like Head never even heard of this priority list. Priority list. What's she talking about? What is going on? Before he could answer, she handed him an envelope and said, "Don't worry, I just came to give you this." Seeing this, Dud wondered, what's this? He was super confused getting the envelope since he had no idea what was inside. A love letter? Or a challenge? This isn't in the original plot. She shyly looked away. I was going to give this to you tomorrow. Remember to open it when you're alone. Dud still didn't get what was happening, scratching his head, and replied, all confused, okay. As the afternoon sun streamed into the room, he felt a pang of regret and confusion. He shouldn't have opened it. She wants him to be her teammate. Tomorrow's the welcome party for the freshmen. Had forgotten. But then he thought being her teammate isn't such a big deal. He just needs to hang out with her at the party. The problem is, refusing her offer doesn't just mean she'll lose interest. It could also make someone else hostile towards him. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Dud opened the door and said, I knew it was you. Elia was a little surprised. You guessed that quickly. Elia then held out an envelope. Here. Dud was surprised. Not this again. Hearing that, she pressed him. Again? What do you mean? Did someone else give you this too? He hesitated. No. I mean, what is this? Doug thought to himself. I almost died right there. Don't tell me she's here to make a request too. Elia pointed at him, winking playfully. What do you think I decided during the simulation battle? I have to go. Thanks to those troublemakers, the student council president had to call a doctor. Then she jumped down from the balcony, Elias' face beaming with eagerness, and she excitedly shouted, Open it quickly! Dud raised his hand to stop her, but it seemed too late. Why are there so many weird people in the world? I wonder what at Island. Maybe it's another request to become teammates. No. It could also be a challenge if it's from Elia, but she did say it was a surprise. And that's exactly what we're speculating about. Images of Elnor and Elia facing off appeared in his mind, neither gaining the upper hand. Dud exclaimed in shock. It's a request to become teammates. This wasn't in the original storyline at all. Why can't anyone give me an easier option? If I choose Eleanor, I'll be seen as the villain by the main character. But if I choose Elia, I'll make the final boss hostile towards me, and I might die because of that damn death priority list. So, what if I reject them both? I don't know what to do anymore. This is probably happening because they're both still in the infatuation stage. This is really troublesome. Suddenly, Dud had a bold thought. Could I accept? Both of them. And so, the freshman welcome party arrived. The venue was decorated extremely lavishly. Bright strings of lanterns cast shimmering light throughout the room. It was noisy and bustling. Class B, this way. And where's the last one from Class C? Are they in the hall? The freshmen happily got to know each other. Hey, aren't you a student from Class A? Class A? A young man with brown hair parted in the middle spoke up. Professor, they are here. There were so many students at this welcome party. Everywhere you looked, it was just people and people. The scene was extremely crowded and lively. Elia looked extremely beautiful. She didn't seem to like crowded places and sighed in frustration. So crowded. This place is like a pigsty. She turned to the person next to her, looking radiant. Anyway, thanks for coming with me. Dud, you look so different with your hair parted. You two, please come inside. Back to him buying items. Walker clone, $1,000, capable of creating a copy of himself. All enhancement effects will be applied. Dud seems to have high hopes for this item's effectiveness. I have used up all my points, even if it can only stand in for me. It might work. At this moment, the system displays a notification. Event. Double date. You have decided to go on a date with both of them. Do not get caught until the end of the event. There will be penalties if you fail. No matter how many people come, this plan could still fail miserably. If someone sees me and my clone in the same place, I will be caught immediately. So he makes a decision. I will use the option, cold gentleman, to shut him up, and then, suddenly, Dud jumped at a very loud sound. It was a monster growling. It bared its sharp teeth, looking extremely angry. It was locked in an iron cage and transported by a carriage. There was a warning. Get out of the way immediately. I need to calm down, take a breath. It was just a monster from outside. Looks like they're going to experiment on it. Then it escaped. That is when the main event starts. And all I need to do is survive. With Eleanor and Elia by my side, it probably won't be so bad, right? Then suddenly, a slip-up. The pheromone effect has been activated. You're not just a normal kid anymore. Bought and applied. I suddenly realized my body was emitting a strangely attractive scent. Eleanor appeared. There you are. Dud startled. Oh, the student council president. She quickly recognized the scent. What is that smell? Did you put on cologne? Dud defended himself. No. The flowers here just smell nice. Eleanor still trusted her. Sense of smell. I know that smell is coming from you, but this smell, it is driving me crazy.